against the reigning champions. And then the video assistant referee started rewinding. Not 5 seconds, not to the final pass. All the way back to the other end of the pitch, 17 seconds earlier, to a shirt tug and a stepped-on toe. Goal gone. Argentina came back from the dead and won it in stoppage time. Messi crying, Egypt's players face down on the grass. And within minutes, 3 words were everywhere. This is rigged. So is it? Did Argentina just survive one of the most chaotic knockout ties in World Cup history? Or did FIFA make sure Lionel Messi stayed alive in this tournament? Let's actually go through it because the accusations are enormous. The evidence is messier than either side wants to admit, and the timing could not possibly be worse for the organization running this thing. Start with the decision itself, because you cannot understand the fury without understanding how out of step it was. Just last week, Pierluigi Collina, FIFA's own head of referees, publicly reminded everyone that officials at this tournament have been told to allow normal football contact and keep the tempo high. And it's worked. This World Cup is averaging 22.6 fouls per game, down from 25 in 2022 and 27 in 2018. Referees have been waving away exactly the kind of nothing contact that Adia committed. All tournament, in every match. Then a VAR reaches back 17 seconds and nearly the full length of the pitch to find a shirt tug and delete a goal. That's not a fan complaint. That's the professional consensus. The BBC's Dale Johnson wrote that Egypt's disallowed goal was completely against how this tournament has been refereed, pointing out you cannot let minimal contact go on the field and then hunt for it on a monitor. Sky Sports' Rob Harris said the technology was never meant for that. Henry Winter got the line of the night, joking that if VAR had rewound any further into that Egyptian move, Tutankhamun would be involved. And Fernando Guerrero, a Mexican referee who worked the 2022 World Cup, went further and said the protocol was simply misapplied, arguing Argentina had time, space, and 3 separate chances to win the ball back, which under the attacking possession phase rules should have made the whole thing unreviewable. His verdict was blunt: VAR and the referee made a mistake, harmed Egypt, and contributed to their elimination. Now hold that in your head, because 11 minutes from the end of the game, the exact opposite standard got applied. Argentina had clawed it back to 2-2. Deep into stoppage time, Egypt attacked, and their players screamed for a foul in the Argentina box. Nothing was given, no VAR check, no monitor. Argentina broke straight up the other end, and Enzo Fernandez headed in the winner, 3-2. Egypt's players collapsed onto the turf, and their coach's rage found its target instantly. Hossam Hassan said afterward that his side had suffered injustice, that a penalty had been ruled out without so much as a VAR look, while their goal was disallowed for something nobody could see. And then he said the thing that turned a refereeing row into a scandal. Perhaps they wanted Messi to stay in the running. There's the accusation, out loud, on the record, from an international head coach. He didn't stop there either, claiming Egypt had objected to the appointment of French referee François Letexier before the game, because Argentina beat France in the 2022 final, insisting there were pressures from the Argentina side on the outcome, and telling reporters that when he confronted Letexier at full time, he accused the official of having something to hide. His forward Zico was even more direct, saying the referee robbed a whole nation of its efforts, and sarcastically congratulating Argentina on winning the World Cup. Egypt's own bench boiled over so badly that a member of their backroom staff was shown a red card. And FIFA, asked to comment on all of it? Silence. And those weren't even the only calls Egypt were furious about. Earlier in the game, replays appeared to show Argentina right back Nahuel Molina catching Egypt winger Imam Ashour with an outstretched arm, with no foul given. In the second half, Egypt wanted a penalty when Salah went down under a challenge from Nicolas Tagliafico, replays suggesting the Argentine may have clipped his toe. Nothing. The pattern Egypt saw wasn't one bad decision. It was a whole afternoon of small ones, and they all fell the same way. Social media did what social media does, and it did it instantly. "This tournament is rigged," ran one of thousands of near-identical posts. Another, "The World Cup is rigged for Messi." One fan drew the line straight back to Qatar, arguing Egypt were experiencing exactly what France and the Netherlands went through in 2022. And that comparison isn't just noise, it's the heart of this whole thing. Now here's why fans everywhere piled in with the word rigged and why it stuck. Because for a lot of people, this isn't the first time they've watched this exact movie. Rewind to the group stage of this very tournament. Messi caught Algeria captain Issa Mandi with a studs-up challenge and escaped without so much as a yellow card. Former Venezuelan striker Ale Moreno called it 100% a red card on ESPN. Craig Burley warned that letting it go would set a precedent nobody could officiate around afterwards. Algeria lodged a formal complaint, and then, in the round of 32, Folarin Balogun of the USA planted his foot on a Bosnian defender's ankle in a near-identical incident and was sent straight off. Same foul, different outcome. One of those players is the most famous footballer alive. Then rewind further to Qatar in 2022, because this is the comparison that has never gone away. Argentina were awarded 5 penalties in that tournament, the most any team has ever received at a single World Cup, and Messi took every single one. And in the quarter-final against the Netherlands, in a match that already felt like it had left orbit, Messi handled the ball and was not given the second yellow that a great many people watching believed he had earned. The Dutch went out. Argentina lifted the trophy. 4 years later, Egypt's players are slumped on the grass in Atlanta, while Messi is thrown in the air by his teammates, and the entire football internet is typing the same sentence. We've seen this before. And this is where it gets genuinely uncomfortable for FIFA, because the Egypt game did not land in a vacuum. It landed in the middle of the most scandal-soaked World Cup in living memory. This is the tournament where the President of the United States phoned Gianni Infantino, and a red card suspension against the host nation's best striker was suspended using a clause never once used at a World Cup. Jurgen Klopp's reaction to that was withering. "This is our sport, not theirs." Wayne Rooney called it an absolute disgrace and said Infantino should be ashamed. This is the tournament where hydration breaks conveniently chopped every half in two, an innovation reportedly worth around $500 million to American broadcasters alone, which Barney Ronay of The Guardian described as an abomination and a desecration. This is the FIFA that gave Donald Trump its inaugural Peace Prize. And now for the France against Morocco quarterfinal, FIFA has appointed an entirely Argentine officiating crew led by Facundo Tello, the first all-single-nationality panel of the tournament. You do not need to believe in conspiracies to look at that appointment in this week and wonder what on earth anybody in Zurich was thinking. Stack it all up, and you can see exactly why people are convinced. The uncarded Messi stamp, the Balogun double standard, the 5 penalties in Qatar, the unpunished handball against the Dutch, the 17-second rewind, the unchecked appeal at the other end minutes later, a commercially priceless superstar in what everyone knows is his last World Cup, in a tournament FIFA desperately needs to be a spectacle. There's your motive right there. A deep Messi run sells advertising in a way a Messi elimination never could. So let's take it seriously and be honest about the other side, because this channel doesn't hand out accusations for free. There is no proof. None. What exists is a mountain of circumstantial evidence and an absolutely appalling pattern, which is not the same thing as a fix. And every single decision in Atlanta has a legitimate defense. uncomfortable as that may be. The disallowed goal? Under the actual laws of the game, an attacking team foul in the build-up to a goal is reviewable, and the challenge did lead directly into the move. Even Winter, while mocking it, conceded it was probably the right decision by the letter of the law. The non-review of Egypt's late appeal? Because the incident happened inside the penalty area, the VAR wasn't assessing a foul, it was assessing a penalty, which carries a much higher bar. Had it happened a yard outside the box, consistency would have demanded a check. Inside it, there wasn't enough contact for a spot kick, so the goal stood. Two decisions that look identical to the naked eye, governed by two different thresholds, producing opposite results. That's not necessarily corruption. That's a broken system doing exactly what it was built to do. And that's the quieter scandal underneath the loud one. A technology introduced to correct clear and obvious errors is now being used to reverse engineer fouls nobody saw at the other end of the pitch half a minute earlier, in service of the letter of a law that has drifted miles away from its spirit. And there's a harder truth for Egypt buried in all this. Zico's disallowed goal was scratched off when Egypt led 1-0. 6 minutes later, Zico scored again anyway. And this one counted. Egypt were still 2-0 up, with 11 minutes to play. No referee took that lead away from them. They lost it. Cristiano Romero out-jumped everyone for a header. Messi produced a half volley of ludicrous technique, and Enzo Fernandez attacked a cross in the 92nd minute. Zico himself half admitted the gap, saying that if Argentina had won by their own effort, it would have felt completely different. But some of it was their own effort. The comeback was real. Their goalkeeper, Mostafa Choubert, who was heroic all night, said plainly that mistakes crept in during the last 10 minutes. Egypt were wronged. Egypt also did not hold on. But here's the thing, and it's the entire reason this story matters more than one match. FIFA doesn't get to hide behind the technicalities anymore, because it burned the benefit of the doubt itself. When you suspend a red card because a president called you, when you invent quarter-time breaks worth $500 million and call it player welfare, when you hand a head of state a peace prize, when your own head of referees tells the world he wants light-touch officiating, and then a VAR rewinds 17 seconds to protect the biggest name in the sport. When you appoint an all-Argentine crew to a quarter-final in the same week, you're being accused of favoring Argentina. At that point, you have no credibility left to spend. You don't get believed because you've taught everybody not to believe you. That is the real damage here. Not that the fix is in, because nobody can prove that. And the honest answer is that it probably isn't. The damage is that it no longer matters whether it's true. Barney Ronay wondered in print whether Infantino has finally flown too close to the sun. Robbie Slater said flatly that Infantino has got to be in trouble. When a coach can stand in front of the world's cameras and suggest FIFA wanted Messi in the quarterfinals, and the reaction from millions of neutral fans is a shrug of grim agreement, rather than outrage at the smear, the institution has already lost. Egypt's grievance is really football's grievance. The suspicion